I'm James Quest, and last night I saw the brand new A24 movie Talk to Me, which is the trailer that I feel like I've been seeing for like the last 8 months. I've seen the exact same trailer for this movie. Anyways, so this movie follows a bunch of high school aged kids as they go to various parties and they play this game, I guess you'd call it, this party game that they keep on seeing on all over social media of different people in their neighborhood playing, where you bring out this hand, this like I thought it was like a mummified hand. It turns out it's the severed hand of a psychic, supposedly, and it's been wrapped in ceramic, so it's like, you know, dipped in ceramics. Now it's all covered. Anyways, basically you hold on to the hand, you say talk to me, you light this candle, and you're gonna be seeing ghosts. And it is like this cool party thing. Everyone's drinking and taking out their cell phones and like filming people as they do it, and you're only supposed to hold on to it for 90 seconds, and you get all of this in the trailer, really. And you know, like on the front, I'm like, these are some of the stupidest people I've ever seen, right? Like if you see a ghost, like an actual ghost, once you do this thing, you're gonna let go immediately. You're not gonna hold on, no matter what kind of peer pressure is around you. You're not gonna keep on holding on to this thing. But then I thought about it, and I'm like, that is exactly what a high schooler would do. This is exactly the kind of stupid party high school shit that people would actually do, just based on peer pressure and based on like, oh, we've all been drinking and we're all taking turns looking at different ghosts, you know. So like logically you're like, no, that's dumb, no one would ever do that. But then you think about the kinds of stupid stuff that happens in real life, you're like, you know what, yeah, I can totally buy that people not only would they do this out of peer pressure, but they would keep on doing it, and it would just become like a fun drinking game where you're like, all right, your turn, you got to go hold the hand now. You know. And like I was like, yep, that's like the most realistic part of this movie, that would happen, because it's so stupid to do it, but yeah, of course you would. But anyways, our main character, you know, like many horror movies, they had lost a parent or a loved one, and they start being able to talk to who they think is their parent, and it's this like ghostly version of their mom. And one of the other kids ends up getting in the hospital because they got all possessed and they hurt themselves really bad, which is like, it was horrifying. Like the scares in this movie, you know, like a lot of A24 stuff, it's not like, you know, jump scare city. It's more of like that eerie thriller thing that's happening, and then you see something really gory and messed up and you're like, ugh. Right? So it's not like, you know, it's not jump scare city like some of the other movies that you might see from Blumhouse. And I think that's generally the difference between an A24 movie and a Blumhouse movie, is like Blumhouse will go for those sometimes cheaper jump scares, but they kind of please general audiences, whereas A24 will go for more of those like slow burn thriller, and then something really gross happens, you know. Luckily this one is not necessarily a slow burn, I wouldn't apply that to it, but it does, like, you know, you'll see like a ghostly figure, and then you'll see like a really messed up, all the ghosts look really like gross looking. And anyways, so basically at some point the main character gets convinced by her ghost mom that she has to, in order to free one of her friends from the ghost realm, she has to actually kill them. And then she starts hallucinating and seeing stuff that's not really happening. And this movie reminded me a lot of the movie from I think last year called Smile, where, you know, the main character starts seeing things that are not really there, and then in the third act it starts becoming like this really you know, vague interpretation of like, is this really happening, or is this just what she's seeing? Because reality and the ghost division start blending together. And so this movie and Smile actually have a lot of things in common, I think. But yeah, basically this girl gets kind of addicted to this thing, and she keeps on wanting to, you know, see her mom, so she keeps on touching this ghost hand, even though logically you're like, you cannot trust that that's actually your mom. You have no way of verifying that. You know, any of these ghosts or whatever could just pretend to be someone, you know, like they're kind of inside your head when you invite them in. So, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, logically, just like the stupid party game thing, it's like logically you know that this is a bad, dumb idea, but from like sort of an emotional standpoint, you're like, yeah, I can see where someone is so full of grief, that they would go for it, and the off chance that this really is their mom. And I also, don't quote me on this, but I like to think that for the most part there are two kinds of horror movies. There's the horror movies where they have a happy ending and some, if not all, of the cast actually ends up living, and those can still be great horror movies. And then you have the other kind where they have these just depressing, despair-filled endings where even the main character that we've been following for the entire movie, their life is either they die at the end, or they are in a situation where no matter what happens, even after the curse or whatever is broken, they're fucked. Like their life is messed up and they're traumatized. Like they end the movie in a psych ward or something. Like it's always something like that. So those are like the two types of endings for horror movies, and this one definitely goes for that second one. Like it, again, very much like Smile. This one ends with our main protagonist dying and becoming the ghost. And it ends in such a great way where it's like she's in this ghost realm and she doesn't know that she died. We don't know necessarily either. But then you hear someone say, "Talk to me." And all of a sudden, she's across the table holding the hand of someone who's playing the game. So now she's on the opposite side. Now she's the spirit that they're seeing. So I was like, that's the perfect way to end this movie. But yeah, just overall, I had a really good time with this one. Like I said, you do start to feel a lot of similarities to stuff you've seen before. Like I made a lot of comparisons to Smile, so some of it does feel like I've seen this really recently. This feels like an A24 movie that they've already come out with, or something like that, but in any case, it was really well done. I like that it's at least an original idea of like this hand, this object that you touch and you see a ghost, and there have been similar ideas to that before, but I think the iconography of this hand is going to become really like it's for this very specific movie. It's easily recognizable, and if you've seen the movie, you recognize it immediately. So it's like, okay, that's cool. But yeah, overall, it's got some disturbing images, it's got some creepy looking ghosts, and it's got a really depressing ending. But it's like, yeah, that's the route that some of these take. Also, everyone here is Australian. It was so funny. I was with my fiance, and there's a part where there's a kangaroo that's been hit in the middle of the street, right? And she didn't know what that was at first. She thought it was like a really messed up deer, and I was like, "What?" I was like, "They're in Australia. Like they're all speaking with the accents and everything." I don't know. It was just funny. Anyways, it's Australian, so at least it has a little bit more of a. I've never seen an Australian horror movie before. This is the first time I've. And I don't know how much of this was actually filmed there or what, or if that was just like the setting they chose, but that feels unique on its own because it doesn't feel like you see that very often. I can't even think of another Australian horror movie, but we have at least one now, so that's pretty cool. Anyways, yeah, that was Talk to Me. Let me know what you guys think, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.